The ball, like tennis always does, which is two elbows. I didn't see the elbow.
I think the majority of the people in the grounds clearly saw that Lee Bowyer was fouled. But the most important person, the person with the whistle, didn't see it, and we've been playing.
If West Ham left Highbury feeling aggrieved in the beginning, the signs were ominous. Dennis Bergkamp and Robert Pires would play leading roles. And when the Frenchman fell under the tug of Steve Lomas, it did look a foul. Glenn Roeder disagreed. He was disbelieving when referee Mike Dean reached for a red card just 14 minutes in. Step forward Thierry Henry for Arsenal goal number 101. Get a man up and a goal up. The goals procession failed to materialise. With half-time approaching and Edu in dreamland, Jermaine Defoe woke Highbury from its slumber. After that, David James was a keeper inspired. The last brave line in a 10-man rearguard that showed true grit amid some moments of panic. Then, just as the prospect of a point well made beckoned, Bergkamp faced up to Lee Bowyer. There was a hand up, Bowyer went down, missing the Dutchman's precision cross and the first headed goal of Henry's Premiership career. The Hammers lost their heads. Bergkamp had already been booked, but the referee had a close-up view of the collision. There were to be no more gifts from the champions, just a glossy finish. Bergkamp and Pires again the sophisticated supply line for Henry's hat-trick goal that nudged West Ham back to the bottom. The FA's video panel will take a second look at Bergkamp on Bowyer. Arsenal's lead at the top is back to 5 points.
The most important thing is that the ball went in, and I don't really bother about the scoring thing with my head, but as long as the ball goes in, that's the most important thing, I think.
Pires certainly didn't need any excuse to fall over for the penalty, did he? I mean, he was barely touched, and down he went. And of course, then you get the double whammy of your player being sent off.
I am never for the sending off of the players on the penalties unless the guy doesn't really try to play the ball. If a guy goes for a tackle and tries to play the ball, I think it's not a sending off. In this case, it's a difficult, little bit the grey area, because it's difficult to say, did he want really to play the ball? I don't think so.
Again, the referee made a very poor decision. Bergkamp has clearly put his hand in Bowyer's face and pushed him over.
I was protecting the ball, turning away from the other player. And then he was there, but as I said, for me, the only time I realized he was on that side was when there was contact already. So it was just an accident. Of course, from his point of view, he felt that maybe there was a foul, but as I said, the referee was there and very close, so he must have judged that it was an accident as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let it go on.
You have had incidents in the past where you've been scrutinised by video panels. Will you be disappointed if this incident goes that way?
All I can do is hope for nothing, but again, it's an accident for me.
At Arsenal, you're never disappointed if more is made of that. There's always more made of that. We are used to that.
I'm sure they are. There's certainly no anti-Arsenal crusade, and it's not a question of whether they're at the top or anywhere in the table. Nevertheless, there are still debates to be had about a couple of those incidents. Clive, chronologically, if we look first at the incident that led to the penalty and the 1-0 for Arsenal, what did you make of that?
Well, first of all, it was a sensational pass from Bergkamp.
Yeah.
He puts it in behind Steve Lomas, and he does actually just try to tug Pires, and he denies him a goal-scoring opportunity. The referee deems it that that's exactly what's happened. Pires goes to ground, you could say a little bit easily, but by the letter of the law, the referee is correcting what he's done and sending him off. Seems very harsh, but I think Steve Lomas knows he's got goal side of him. He's in to score.
OK, that's that one cleared up from our point of view, at least. Perhaps more contentious, if that were possible, is the Dennis Bergkamp incident with Lee Bowyer that led to Arsenal retaking the lead, Andy.
Yes, it's certainly a debatable one. I differ from the rest of the guys here. I mean, we've been speaking about it before. I happen to think that he is in control of the ball. Yes, he has given him a slap. That's exactly what he's done. It's not an elbow or a fist. He's protecting the ball. If that was an off the ball incident, I would agree. Send him straight off. Don't But I just happen to believe that it looks worse slowed down. I've got to say, look, you can slow these things down a million times and you can make them look worse.
But Andy, if he's protecting the ball, why is his arm not straight? He strikes out
No.
at Lee Bowyer.
Yeah, but
that's a foul.
Clive,
he deserves
I
a yellow card
sympathise with the
and
West
he should
Ham
be
players.
off the field of play.
Not for me, don't.
Second
no way.
yellow, he should have been 10
The
aside.
point
and
Dennis
one on.
Bergkamp said, he
Yeah.
didn't know the player was there.
Rubbish.
Dennis Bergkamp has got the best vision of anybody I've seen in football. He knows where the 21 players are, the 40,000 are on the stand. He doesn't know the guy. He looks at him, he knows he's there.
I think he's actually looking to protect the ball, and he does catch it. The thing I'd like to say, and sometimes we talk about the nature of players, if that was Lee Bowyer doing on Bergkamp, there'd be a witch hunt for Lee Bowyer on the same thing, and that shouldn't ever come into it.
If you an off-the-ball incident, they happen every week in every match. You go to any corner, you look in the penalty area at a corner, players have got their hands. Sorry, Clive, I've done it. People as easy as that.
Yellow card, that's the point.
I'll go, no, well, they've got their arms across people and across, they're blocking people, pulling. They're doing it far more bluntly. I think the guy's got the ball at his feet. Yes, he's done that. Barry might be right. He knows he's coming. But I don't think it's that, and I certainly don't know it's not that. For me, I don't think he should be chastised for it, and I think if the FA punish him, I believe they're wrong.
Interesting. I mean, the question mark now, as to whether the FA look at it, is to whether Mike Dean, the referee in his report, believes that he saw it and didn't see anything wrong with it at the time. If he's happy with it,
some contradictions here, though, even with the referees. With the Lomas incident, the referee has to send him off.
Yeah.
Why should, if the referee's not given the foul there, why should the FA look on it any further? You know, there's a contradiction in the 2 points.
Because if he says he didn't see it, is that right, Matt?
Yes, I think if Mike Dean says he was happy with the situation as it stood and didn't deem a foul necessary, then it can't be reviewed by the FA.
From his position,
so only if he says, I didn't see what happened, he was very close, so it's doubtful that
the
he would.
referee's seen it.
He's got
Dennis
to
Bergkamp is a talented, very talented, gifted player, and I think he uses all the tools that he's got available to him. And I think he's got a nastiness. He's got a nasty streak in him, but he's very clever. He's not a millish kind of fella, but he can put his foot in. He can look after himself. He sees a player coming. The best way for him to protect the ball is to put his arm on his face. If he really wants to just protect the ball, he does it on his shoulder. And he's given one, and he's got away with it. Fair play to him. West Ham, they didn't like it, but it's over and done with. Referee, forget it. Let's get on with it.
All right. Well, we've had an email on this subject from Mike Dowsey. No one should be surprised by Bergkamp's action, says Mike. It was identical to one against Dabizas before his wonder goal last season, but Dabizas didn't fall for it. I mean, we should try and draw some comparisons here because I think you feel there's a distinction be made. If we look at the Bowyer incident from yesterday and immediately afterwards of the incident involving Dabizas, at real time as the referee would see it, just draw the distinction.
There is a big
for
difference here, though, Matt. You've got to, when we see these incidents, what happens here is Dennis Bergkamp strikes out. That's a strike with the arm, right? And then the result of it, which was the thing that really hurt West Ham, was Henry's header, second goal, 2-1 down, 10 men. This is a fantastic piece of skill. And here, he brushes Dabizas aside. He literally hands him off. He's not striking out at him. He's just using...
Now, the record suggests, I think, 7 red cards at Highbury, all against the opposition this season, 3 of which have been rescinded. Just briefly, do the big teams get a bit of subconscious favouritism from referees?
Well, I think they always have done.
Yeah,
and certain players do.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Because of reputation. It's not that the referees do it
if
on
Lee
purpose.
Bowyer did that same thing, Lee Bowyer would have got a card yesterday on Dennis Bergkamp because of his nature. Dennis Bergkamp gets away because he's a great player. Okay. And that great players often get benefited out.
That's where there's so much inconsistency. That's what upsets the players so much.
And in a word, just before we move on to Man United, these two last week, Clive and Robbie, Barry and Andy, thought that West Ham wouldn't go down. Do you agree?
Clive's always got to say that. I had them down 3 weeks ago, and it's going to go up and down, but I think that they're one of the 3, unfortunately.
They've had some bad luck, but they're not down there due to anything like that. They're down there because they're not good enough. Especially at the back, I think they're going to go.